I'm Joanne, and I am from Kauai Community Science Center. This Science Center showcases science and technology driven by student interest, supported by professionals, and shared with the community. This is a place where Kauai students explore science and technology, create content, and lead activities for the community. The Kauai Community Science Center's main objectives are to increase access to science, grow science literacy, promote climate awareness, and create a safe and respectful place. This activity that we're going to do today is all about the phases of the moon. The portion of the moon that we can see when we look up at the sky at night, that is called the moon's phase. So these phases of the moon are very important for many things. What kind of things do you think the moon affects? Well, as we know, the moon orbits the Earth. As it does, it goes through phases as the Earth and the moon orbit the sun. The moon stays with the planet, with Earth, because Earth has a gravitational pull on the moon. Well, the moon also has a gravitational pull that is strong enough to affect the Earth, like the tides in the ocean. The side of the Earth that is closest to the moon will seem to have a slight bulge if you're out in space. So that side will make it look not quite like a circle. So yes, the rise and fall of the ocean level result from the moon's gravitational field pulling as it moves in orbit around the Earth. So the moon also affects some seabirds that navigate by stars and use the light of the moon. As the seabirds fly, they are affected by the moonlight. And if it is a new moon, it is very dark at night. The seabirds can't see as well, and they get distracted by bright lights in our community that can lead them to hitting power lines or just falling to the ground. When the moon is full and bright, they have an easier time. So now that we understand some things that the moon affects, how many phases of the moon do you think there are? Think about that while we dig into our activity bag, because today we are going to make this beautiful little wreath regarding the phases of the moon. So in our activity bag here, you'll have the instructions on the outside. Each of you should have one of these bags. You're going to pull off your instructions, and we're going to go ahead and put those next to us so we can follow along with those. And we're going to dig into these bags. Well, the first thing I pull out is a beautiful activity book. That's a lot of fun, all regarding those seabirds that we just talked about. Several different types, but right there on page 5 in here, it talks about the moon and the bright lights that affect those seabirds. So check that out and have fun with this activity book. Also in our bags, we have a little bee bookmark. This little bee bookmark was created by Kauai Community Science Center by its 3D printers. So it's a lot of fun. We created these. They're pretty amazing. So enjoy those. But the whole point of this is because we want you to be anything you can be. And if you open up the little booklet here, you can write on the inside all the different things that you can imagine yourself being, and you will succeed. So we hope you enjoy this bee bookmark and that it reminds you of anything that you can be. So go ahead, and I'm going to use my bookmark to bookmark page 5 regarding the moon and the seabirds. All right, so let's continue to dig in our activity bag here. I pulled out a paper plate that everybody should have. Also, there is some string that we're going to need. It's very long. We have some glue dots for our activity as well, and a piece of cardstock that has all the different phases of the moon printed on it. Well, as you know now, we have 8 phases of the moon. So that answers our question. There are 8. The full moon and the new moon, and in between are the crescent moon, the Gideon moon, and the half moon. So we're going to cut those out in a little bit so we can make our wreath. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. One of the things that you're going to need, or a couple of the things that you're going to need to finish this, is also a pair of scissors, a hole punch, and the best part is something to decorate your wreath with, such as some markers, or you could also use colored pencils or crayons. It's whatever you want to use to decorate your wreath, because this is all your creation. This is your wreath. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we want to do is we want to take our paper plate and we're going to cut out a hole up to the inside edge here where it starts to dip. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to punch a hole in it. You can use your scissors. So as you can see, I punched a hole with my scissors, and we'll start snipping away a little bit. Snipping away a little. Now I found that if you go underneath, poke it through, it's easier to cut this out. There we go. So go ahead and cut out your plate, or the center of the plate. And don't worry about it being all pretty and neat yet, because you can go back and trim that up and smooth that out. As you can see, mine's not very neat. So you can go ahead and trim that up if you like. So then we're going to take this big piece that we have. We want some space in between this and the rim of the plate. So we're going to cut probably about a ½ inch around, or about 1 inch in total off of this whole thing. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Remember, it's not a perfect circle because as the moon orbits around the earth, we get that bulge we talked about. So there we go. So now we have that hole in our plate, or I mean, the circle around in the middle of our plate with a little bit of space. So now let's go ahead and decorate. I'm going to color my earth green and blue, of course, make a little earth, but you can decorate the outside, or we'll call it the frame now, the frame any way you like as well. So go ahead and have fun with that. I decorated mine, like I said, green and blue. And the next thing that we're going to do after you decorate it, and along with the frame, is we're going to punch holes in it. We're going to use our hole punch, and we're going to punch 5 holes in our earth. Punch 5 holes. You can try to make sure that they're evenly spaced as much as you can. I don't think mine are very perfect, so that's okay. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're also going to punch 5 holes around our frame, the outside of our plate. There we go. So 5 holes on the planet Earth and 5 holes here. So 5 holes and 5 holes. So now we can take our string, our long string that we had, and we are going to weave it through so that it holds up the planet in the middle, just like our sample here. And a rule of thumb that I found that helps keep it simple is that we're going to go under the plate through the hole, under the plate, and on top of the planet. Pull that through. Go ahead and pull it through, but you don't want to pull it through all the way because we want some excess out there for the end. So if you can see how that is. Now, once again, we're going to go under the plate. Oops. Under and on top of the planet. Okay. And again, we're going to go under the plate. And on top of the planet. Now let's double check and make sure that we're not making these too tight. We don't want it too tight. We want it to be able to hang. So kind of make sure that it's loose enough to where it's going to hang, but tight enough to where it's not going to flop all over. Okay, so we're going to go under the frame, on top of the planet. Oops, I'm making it too tight. On top. Under. Top. Our last hole on the earth. Okay, once you get to the last hole on the earth, you're going to want to go ahead and go under the plate again through the same hole that you went through when we first started. So the same hole. So now, go ahead and adjust it again if you need. You should have, it should be hanging nice. Now you can go ahead and tie the top. Tie the top. And you can cut the excess string and you'll have your wreath. Well, now we need to take our cardstock, our printed cardstock with all the phases of the moon on it, and we need to cut those out. So once we cut those out, then we can put them onto the plate. So of course, I already have them cut out. And my first one is going to be the full moon. So my first one's going to be the full moon. And we're going to take our glue dots. And I found that if you, the little glue dot, because they're so sticky, that if you take the back of the paper that you want it to stick, push it on to there, you should be able to pull it off easy. That way it doesn't stick to your fingers. So go ahead and take your full moon and put it on the top. That's where your tie is. Go ahead and put that up there. Now the next one, you're going to take the gibbous phase, and you're going to put it to the right of the full moon, but you're going to have the shadow to the right, because now the full moon is getting smaller. The light is getting smaller. So we have that gibbous moon. And then we have our half moon, or they call it a quarter moon because of the different quarters of the phases. So we're going to take that And again, we're going to put that shadow to the right. There we go. Now we have a crescent moon, that little tiny moon that we see sometimes. And again, the shadow to the right. All right. Now the next one is going to be the new moon. By the time we get that, we have a new moon. Well, that new moon is going to go on the very bottom. I'm going to put that on. There we go. But what happens after the new moon? After the new moon, all that dark starts to fade away. So now we're going to put the shadow to the left. So we have, again, a crescent moon, one with the least amount of white on it. We have another half, or what they call a quarter moon. And that, again, the shadow is going to be to the left. And once again, the gibbous moon. We have so much light, it's almost done and almost back to that full moon. There we go. There is your wreath. And I'm sure you guys all decorated it really nice underneath before we added the moons. So we have our phases of the moon. Now you get to follow around or follow along with this all month long and see and know the phases of the moon. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this activity with us today. And if you would like to learn more about Kauai Community Science Center, go to the bottom of your instructions, and there's a QR code there. Go ahead and snap that QR code and follow that, and you can find out more information about Kauai Community Science Center. Thank you.